think that's a really good question about this, the agriculture young people nexus. I think one way that policies may have gone wrong is not considering young people's own expectations and aspirations. And so a big question is, are those two compatible? Are policies that are good for agriculture as they are now configured also good for young people? And as lots of people have already said in this conference, we get the impression and the studies show that young people are interested in both physical and social mobility, as in they want to leave rural areas and they want to do other things apart from farming. And I think that this is something that policy needs to engage with. There is a lot of talk about let's get young people back, but I don't think it takes into account the realities of what young people themselves want. I think another way is in just thinking about agriculture just in terms of on-farm activity, being physically there permanently to produce crops of some sort. And we are finding in research that I've done with others that young people think about farming and engage in farming in different ways. So can we think about how young people can move between farming and other things, or between where farming is done in other places? Can we think of how they can do it alongside other things? Can we also think finally about the agri-food sector in more broadly than just on-farm production? I think that policy right now, when they talk about policy, about agriculture, really what they're talking about is on-farm production of food. And even at a policy level, there isn't a lot of engagement with the points of the value chain beyond producing food on the farm. And similarly, young people are not really thinking about that either. And so if it's a rejection of agriculture, it might be a rejection of food production in a particular kind of space. Perhaps if we thought beyond that, we might find that young people might not be as averse to agriculture as we tend to think. Well, we already know that men and women generally do different types of agricultural work. They grow different crops. And they do agricultural work in different ways, more or less capital intensive, more or less labor intensive. So from that perspective, yes. And then secondly, I think that the role models for women for how to do agricultural work successfully are much fewer. So if it's about whether young people will think of agriculture as an option for them, I think that young women will have a harder time kind of thinking or imagining, ways that they can do it meaningfully when there are so few examples of successful, wealthy, productive female farmers around.